Hey, that was a sick one.
Bro, that was a sick clap.
Yeah. There's no clap like a good clap.
It was a crisp clap.
Krispy Kreme clappy clapperson.
That sounds like a really bad disease.
Because it is.
Just like imagine like going to the
Krispy
doctor.
Kreme clapperson.
It's like, I have to say, you have the Krispy Kreme clapperson. Is that what it is? You have you have C cubed, and they're like, wait,
I would have never thought.
It's cube 3, right? Or it's cube 4? Okay, yeah.
Cube 3.
Yeah, cube 3, and they're like, what's that, doc?
It's this new thing.
Yeah.
So where they put a donut.
Yeah.
Somewhere you don't want a donut to be.
Oh, I thought it was just gonna be a clap. Like they clapped the donut, and you got like something about the chemical imbalance is that like when they clap the donut and it hits you, you become like it absorbs into your skin and become infected.
Yeah. No, that actually is it.
Yeah.
I was making stuff up.
You're
right.
Okay.
Welcome to the Silent Podcast. Hope you're having a good day.
Heck yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, your morning commute is probably a little bit less than 45 minutes, but as we said in the last episode, that's kind of what we're aiming for at this point.
So I'm sitting down.
We can't just say your morning commute. You could be watching this at night for all I care.
True.
I do care, actually.
I
hope you do watch it in the morning.
I hope you watch it while you're climbing Mount Everest with a monkey on your back that's eating a cucumber and throwing it at the people behind them or behind you.
That's really dangerous.
No, it's not.
Cucumbers being thrown at you when you're having like
it's
a
part
snowstorm?
of it's part of the course.
Oh, the little people at the very bottom, like the base camp, they tell you watch out for those monkeys with cucumbers. They'll get you good.
And then it's just like this pile of cucumbers, and then it starts feeding the local populations of the mountain.
Oh, so it's good.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Where
for
do the
environment.
Cucumbers come from?
The brains
of the dead people at like the camps like further up. The monkeys like put them together and they make it into a cucumber somehow, and then they throw the brains of the dead people down the hill.
I think probably it just comes like out of just people typically aren't climbing Mount Everest. Like people don't live on Mount Everest,
right? So
the vegetation there is actually cucumbers.
Oh, okay.
But the only way we know what cucumbers are is because monkeys throw it down.
Are they frozen cucumbers? This is the most important question I'm going to ask.
I guess.
Because it's super cold, right?
I would say no, because cucumbers are being like that's their natural growing period or growing place is on the mountain. Okay. So they're just not freezing.
Okay. So they're used to it. It's like a genetic thing.
Yeah, it's like
the cucumbers from South America could never.
Yeah, they don't even compare to these like Mount Everest cucumbers that are used as weapons for a training course to climb Mount Everest.
Okay. I'm glad I'm filled in on the world news.
Yeah, me too.
Because I don't think I was before.
I don't think I was either. I think that was just like something, just boom. I was like, all right, let's talk about cucumbers.
And here we are.
Yeah. Bro, cucumbers kind of smack though. Not going to lie.
I like pickles better.
Yeah, true. But pickles are technically cucumbers, pickled.
You're right.
So technically you really
I
like
love
cucumbers
too.
Just in their pickled form.
Yeah. There's a difference.
There is a difference. It's almost like creativity.
Wow, what a tie-in.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So we have been cooking up a lot of cool things. Last time we talked, we were going to have that action day, the day we were recording.
Yeah.
So we fleshed out all of this stuff. And we want to talk to you...
All of the stuff.
And we want to talk about, like, planning today, because I feel like that's something that, like, is kind of lost in a lot of ways. It's like, as creatives or like naturally your like flow state of creativity is probably just like I'm gonna grab whatever like floats in my mind. I'm just gonna do that thing.
Harness the power.
And in a lot of ways that's super cool, good. But I think there is a skill of learning to plan, in that like having some, at least for social media, and we can get in this whole eye roll about that stuff, but you want to try to be consistent in some ways, and in a lot of ways you can't be, because your natural flow state is not to do that. It's not to be consistent. I think I speak for a bunch of people when I say like I can get a whole week's worth of stuff done in 2 hours, And other days, I don't want to do a darn thing, and I get zero done, or I don't feel motivated at all. So I can do a week's worth of silo, writing and planning
straight up
in 2 hours.
All those posts, man.
And then the next day, or like the same day next week, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, not me.
So I think planning is involved and is a skill that you learn as you mature and as you grow as a creative. You realize that it's necessary to have some kind of structure. And there's also boundaries to that structure of like, is it too much structure where I'm gonna kill like all of my creativity or burn out completely, or if it's something that is structured enough but allows leniency and allows you to, hey, if I don't want to paint something at 2 p.m. today, when I like had time to do it, that's totally fine. Like that block of time can maybe move somewhere else during the week. What are your thoughts on like that?
I guess it kind of leads into what we've been experiencing now with Silo, because ultimately we've kind of, I think in the past, have tried out different methods of the ways that we kind of do events, how we create, how we do posts, and what we've found for us at least, and this is by no means, don't take it word for word, because I think each individual each individual is different. So this is something that we've learned that has worked for us, and it may help you glean what's good for you. But ultimately for us, it's what we've been doing is we've tried like, okay, let's just, whenever you think of something, write a post about it. We've tried, okay, let's make sure that we have a team of people that like create different voices. Let's do that way. And what we found is what works best for us, is kind of like, Austin is typically the one that's writing the posts, and putting that stuff out there, because honestly, he's a wizard at it. And then I'm more of the random thought of like, oh, I just read this amazing book. Let me put a quote and put something to it, or let me write like the introduction post you probably saw a little bit ago. Like that was my words.
I just don't write stuff for Gavin.
Yeah, so it was just like that we've worked that way, and then when we go about scheduling like events and those things, we used to have a lot of fun with the fact like, oh, let's just do a random meetup, and we still do that. But I think where we found where we ebb and flow, which allows, I think you have to have a foundation before you can actually go out, because if you go out and come back home and the house is completely destroyed, chances are you're gonna have more time trying to fix it rather than actually creating within it. And so we typically plan. Right now, it's been every 6 months in advance of some ideas that at least we want once a month. So like an event that we have once a month, a post that we want to hit on once a month. And then through that and that topic that we've had for those 6 months, then that's where then the creativity kind of ebbs and flows.
Side note, how's the book that you're reading?
Oh, by Questlove.
Yeah, you got to tell me about that.
Yeah, bro. So ever since I wrote that post, I've kind of like taken a break from it, because it's so, like, the book itself is so meaty. So like I've been just trying to process really heavy, like the first 25% of it, and I haven't like opened it because I'll like reread the first 25% and be like, I didn't even see this before. And that's what actually, I guess, you were saying Donald Glover or Daniel, he was saying how like that was the way he had to read it, is he had to take it like he couldn't finish it in like a year because there was just so much information. And so I've been very much like thinking through it, because I think we all have those books that we just like, oh my gosh, there's so much in here that I need to reread this part over and over and over again. Typically you find that in school, but
so what's it called? It's called like The Creative Quest by Questlove?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Just wanted to make clear for everyone.
I believe that's the name. I think
it's a Creative Quest. Yeah. That sounds right. I know it's by Questlove, but
Questlove is, if you don't know who he is, you need to just look him up, because anything that I try to describe that he is would fall short at the immaculate creative genius that he is. Because that entire book has completely eradicated any predisposition of creativity that I've ever had before, and in fact enhanced it to the point where I'm like, I'm only 25% in, and I feel like I've completed my creative journey, and I cannot wait to see what the rest is, because this book, it's to the point where I think where I'm starting to see it implemented in my life, creativity at least, especially with silo stuff, because Questlove is a very high-key advocate for not necessarily stretching yourself too thin, and he gives social media as an example. And I guess that's serves up as a good transition, unless you want to talk about but I guess before we transition, we do want to kind of give a little bit of the behind the scenes of where we're at with Silo. You probably have already seen the post already, but we have 2 events coming up here in March, which is super exciting.
Yeah, we got winter capture.
Yeah.
If you want to call it spring, I don't know. March is kind of still probably a little cold.
Yeah.
So I think we called it winter capture.
Yeah.
That can be taken very loosely.
Yeah.
It's freaking just a season, bro.
Got him.
But we're going to do that. So we'll promo that here a little bit, in that it's going to be in Lancaster. We're going to have some super cool photographers come, and super cool models, and they're just going to like roam free. They're not like super like, it's not going to be something that you like look up to this person. It's not like a meet and greet kind of deal. No. It's literally, hey, you take photos, or hey, I need photos taken of me. Well, guess what? There's going to be like, 10 photographers there and 10 models there. Then tons of people that just want to float and have fun anyway, just hang out with people. Yeah. So we just want you there to, either get headshots. We'll be going downtown Lancaster this time instead of like out in the field. There's not much greenery going on in March. So we're going to take some like city, like more urban kind of feel photos. So wear your coolest like big dress or like big burly coats that look cool in the winter,
street jackets,
kind of like some nice like boots or something. That would be cool. But if you want photos of yourself, or you want photos of you and your girlfriend, fiance, boyfriend, products, that'd be so cool. If we're going to have like all of those kinds of photographers there that are specialized in those things. We have fashion photographers, we have portraits, we have branding. So we just want you there. It's free. Yeah, why would you not come?
Free.
Come, we'll probably get like coffee or dinner. Afterwards. So we'll chill, and you get to meet with all these awesome people. And it's a very low stress environment. Yeah. I think that's like the thing we try to do most with these events. It's like, yo, listen, this isn't like, oh, we're getting the headliners to come out so you can like swoon over them. It's like, we love these people. You love them too, perhaps. We want you to know each other. And we're all humans and we're all creatives. There's not going to be any of this like hierarchy. I mean, that's the whole thing that we're trying to deconstruct here is the hierarchy of creativity. You're creative. Doesn't matter if you're just starting out. There's things for you to learn, or if you're very seasoned. Meet new people.
Exactly. And then later in the month, if you are not necessarily looking for more of kind of like a content kind of day, there is lemons kind of day. Deserves one pelting, I guess. But at the end of the month, we're going to be having a yoga class. So if you're looking forward to that, or interested in something to kind of de-stress from the day, because some of the topics that we're going to be talking about today are kind of along the lines of what it means to create outside of Instagram, what kind of the expectations and how that may or may not kill creativity, what boredom may look like, just some of these topics that kind of come alongside of what we're trying to strive for this coming 6 months. So I encourage you, if maybe like it's a little bit too much out of your comfort zone to come downtown Lancaster to get your photos taken, maybe a good first preliminary kind of event to be with us and to be in community is to de-stress, do some yoga, do some stretching. Samantha Fowler Yoga, she's an incredible individual, and it's not going to be your typical yoga class. I know there's a lot of presuppositions about yoga and maybe what the culture or religion that it may coincide with, but yoga ultimately is a way for you to be comfortable in your body and de-stress through it, and find your voice throughout it. I mean, my mom teaches yoga. I know a couple of our friends teach yoga, and it's become a very good treatment to those that have chronic illnesses, etc. So that's just another event that we're excited about for March. And then we got some
side note too is that you can take online too.
Yeah.
So even if you don't want to show up, literally you can sign up and do this online, do this in your home, do this in the log cabin that you're staying at.
Exactly.
And so there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
I would say.
It's $10 for in-person because I think in this new season that we're entering into, we want to make sure that the creatives that we're supporting are actually getting the support that they deserve. So $10 for in-person. It's probably going to be about an hour and a half. If we get lucky and exciting, it might be 2 hours depending on how we feel. And then online is $5. You don't have to show your face if that's the big dilemma, but you can just show up, put the screen, black out the screen, and just enjoy the class itself. If you're like, I don't know, there is probably going to be refreshments and some snacks as well. And it's in York. It's not in downtown York. It's a little bit outside, so there's going to be parking. The parking is going to be free, so you don't have to necessarily worry about those things. Austin, unfortunately, won't be joining us. We're all going to judge him in a judge-free environment. But I will be there, and some other of our amazing people that you probably have seen already on the page. So a little bit of advertisement of the season that we're entering in, especially how's it coinciding with what we've been doing over the next couple of months and through some of the conversations that we've been having. So I think it serves, unless you have something else to say.
No, I think
good transition.
I just think it's so important to realize that we're not trying to take your money. This is all going to Samantha. And that's an investment into her business. It's getting people in her door. She's a creative that is a part of Silo. If you're looking to sew into Silo financially, be a part of this class. No money goes towards us. This is all for her. We're helping her set it up because we love everything that she's about. And she's a part of Silo. And if you have your own projects that you're looking to have, like an art gallery, we'd love to help out. This is not something that's specific to the people that we love most. This is if you let us know about it, we will help you. I think that's just so key to explain. I think it's just she's a creative during a part of Silo, and we're gonna pour into her, into her career, into her lifestyle. And you will probably want to be there because who knows? She's been talking about maybe moving, and so this might be like a limited time kind of yoga class. And she's superb, so I would encourage you. You want to be there, and you gotta have some fun, do some yoga, get maybe a little uncomfortable, and support a creative that has invested into us just as much as she's invested in, if not more. So it's been really cool. So I encourage you to come out. At least that's for the month of March. And kind of as we segue into our next kind of couple of discussion points, I encourage you, if you're trying to figure out a way and to get involved with Silo, and you're like, I don't know, I want to do this, I want to do that, just come to an event, talk to the community, talk to one of us. If you have an idea, you can always DM us. They're always open. Give us an email. We're always down for ideas and discussing things. Now, they may not always happen, because sometimes things just might not work out, or we might think of a new idea. But I encourage you just to take that step, because who knows, you might take that step and then realize, oh my gosh, here's another idea. So that's the whole point of what Austin and I have been doing, especially in this season, is we're trying to pour and believe into the creatives that we have been seeing just grow immensely. So I encourage you. That's what Sam did. She's like, bro, let's just do a yoga class. I'm like, yoga, sign me up. Austin's like, yo, fall capture, that was legit. Let's do it. Let's do it. Ideas like that. And so we've done that before, and so I encourage you to do the same. But we're just in the business of ideas. That's literally what our last 2 months have been about.
Straight up, man.
So it's very hard to get away from that when we're so invested in making that happen. And we've done events last year that are our own, but we also want to flip the script and have us pour into other people's events. which is really cool. That does not mean we're not going to have less events than we had, because we have a full slate for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Full slate to keep you guys interested and involved. I think the cool thing is that, like, it's community. Like, it's not about seeing, oh my gosh, the faces behind Silo, this is what it's all about. No. We take a step back. We take a step forward in planning for these events, and then at the events, we are simply there on the back end to help it be run. So I think that's like another key thing. I keep like backtracking to like the grand scope of things, but it's never about us. No, it's about you guys.
You're a visionary.
So you just make it happen, and we'll invest and become beside you in that stuff.
I mean, that's why it's black and white. We're typically in the shadows, and we were trying to put you all in the light.
Ka-chow. Is that what I'm supposed to say at the end of these things?
Yeah, I think that. I think from now on, like from here on out, you gotta say
the end of the point. I just go ka-chow,
and then do like one of our reels. Do you like that zoom in?
Oh yeah. Okay. See, like, watch this. Post Austin. This is future Austin that I'm speaking to right now. Hey Austin, get that audio. Make sure you see that in the waveforms. Austin, zoom in right now.
Right on.
Zoom in on Gavin's face right now. And explosion. Pew. There we go.
There we go. See?
If you didn't see that, that was because Austin is lazy in the future. That's what it comes down to. If I'm sitting the day before this podcast comes out and I'm like, I don't have an explosion to put in here. All right, we're going to cut that clip. And you don't see that? Then Austin, shame on you for not doing this in the future. Man, but here we are.
Man, growth right there. It's just like...
That was a full character development.
It was. And in a matter of a couple of seconds, it was quite fantastic.
Zoom. Okay. I have that power because I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not bossing someone else.
I don't have any ability to do the things that you do. So, like, this, I'm just at your reign.
And Gavin is green right now.
Green.
All right, I'm creating a lot of work for myself.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, so I'm stopping now.
I mean, technically, if one of us would wear like something really bright, you could do a green screen on us.
Okay, true. I would put dolphins in your jacket.
Dolphins?
Yeah. That's all.
Okay, dolphins.
Yeah.
That works.
Gavin, what are we talking about next? We need to move on. We really do.
Yeah, so something that kind of has stemmed off of some of the events that we've been having. We've been meeting with a bunch of creatives a couple of times a month. Just kind of keep it local, kind of keep it small, just keep conversation intentional. And it's kind of rotated in and out of who's there and who's not. But through those conversations, we've kind of figured out that it's kind of been this fuel for kind of the podcast and the discussions that we've been having. And in fact, probably has begun to make us think and make me even create posts, etc. Because I think some of the most authentic things that you can do and think about is through conversation, rather than on social media. Because I think social media is great to an extent. Austin probably knows my fiery actual beliefs about social media. But I think Instagram communication is a lot different than in-person communication.
Yeah.
Just like creating. Like if you're creating as a business or you're creating as an artist, and you're putting yourself constantly on Instagram or on social media, on Facebook, etc., it becomes to be a lot. And I think in our brains, that creating for social media, it's become our business, has become just a thing to fill rather than an actual avenue to create in. So one of the big questions that we ended up talking about during this meetup was, how have you created outside of social media? Because I think we can quickly become overwhelmed with the fact that we need to put something out there every day or on a reel, and that's like our creating. But in reality, it's just a job. Rather than an experience to feel. But I also think there's an important thing to note. Like, it's like a 9 to 5. Think about it as a 9 to 5. If you're creating just in that 9 to 5 zone, then your brain isn't as open to flowing with the creativity and the experiences. Or you just don't have enough fun. I mean, where's the fun in creating only to be on social media? And so the question...
What if that falls away?
Yeah, like...
Then do you stop creating?
Where does your business go? So our question is, how have you created outside of social media so that you can fulfill and continuously create within that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that you're, say, I became successful at my weaving business that it's become my full-time job. I create dresses and unique pieces for people, and now I do that every day. And while that's awesome, hopefully you're not losing sight of why you started. You started that, hopefully, and I'm assuming here, or creating a situation, but hopefully you started that just from passion. Like, I worked 9 to 5 as an accountant, and I started weaving on the weekends. Woo. That's kind of a fun.
That's kind of legit, no, bro. If somebody's doing that, let us know.
Seriously,
bro. We'd love to be in touch. Weave our hats or something like that.
Weave us a house
or like a blanket, so we could just like vibe in here.
Yeah,
bro. Or a pillow.
Work on that. Anyway, so you probably started this on the weekends and you just had fun with it, and I really hope that you're not losing sight of that. Yeah. I think it's so important that if that has become your 9 to 5, that you can still find joy in that, either outside of your 9 to 5 working on that, or I can't even say 9 to 5. You're probably freelancing, or 9 to 5 is something I would use for more corporate stuff. Yeah, I would say, referring to that as a job. Yeah. But I hope you find then maybe another passion that you can do on the side that you don't have to monetize.
And you don't have to be great at it.
Yeah.
Like, you could just do it.
I mean, that's the long haul too. It's like, you don't have to be great at it. And maybe that growth period is now like 3 years instead of 3 months. Yeah. Because you're not doing it full time. And that's okay. And I think you should find fun and joy in saying, my job stops here, and now I have fun.
Yeah, because creativity does not mean excellence.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, you can just create to create. It doesn't have to be perfect for you to post it, or perfect for you to even just do it. Like, I think we've quickly involved ourselves in this Instagram culture of like, okay, to be a successful photographer, for example, you want to generally put out your stuff on social media to look good, to look perfect, to look the way that you want your vision to be put across. Same with music. Like, typically, as a musician, you want to make sure that the stuff that you're sending out there it's in tune, it's right, it's like on time. As making pottery, you want to make sure it's perfectly in form and portraying the vision that you're doing. But just to solely get off of social media and to recharge and reframe your brain to create does not have to be perfect. I mean, like, if I want to draw and take the time to actually draw, then I can actually take the time to draw, or I could just draw stick figures and enjoy that I'm drawing stick figures. Yeah. Like, you need to rehash the fact, like, it's almost like as soon as we become an adult and creating worlds, like, not even just age-wise. So, like, as you mature, think about creating as, like, this lifespan. As you mature and become more and more talented at your craft, you're becoming older. But then within that, you become stuck in kind of like this way of like, I know I'm good, I'm just going to do it, put out the work, and continue to move forward and trying to make the best thing. But then you lose that like childlike nature of like, oh, I just want to create to like, I remember as a kid, like, yo, Play-Doh, and we get all excited and we make something out of Play-Doh.
Next podcast, we're just going to talk about Play-Doh for 45 minutes.
Heck yeah. Like, just like the fun part of that. And I think as a musician, I'm always like, oh, I need to do this. I need to figure out this new best thing, new next mix. But like as a child, we're always like, no, like, let's just create to have fun with it. And I think that's the divide. And as we get older, we begin to realize like, oh, that's where kind of like change of job happens, or the lack of the ability to keep consistency because we don't have that avenue anymore. We just created our job. Because if we don't do it, then we don't get money. But then creating in itself is just doing, like, thinking of an idea and putting it into action. Like, that's simply creating. Like, anybody is a creative under that definition. And so if you just like, I'm an insane, like for you, like you're an insane photographer, absolutely insane videographer. Like, you can literally think of something and put it on a post. Like, that's insane stuff. But just being able to, you might not be the best drawer, and you're just like sitting down at like a piece of paper and drawing random stuff. It's not like Instagram worthy, but it's great. Like that's the stuff that we need to consistently make those brain wrinkles continue to wrinkle.
I feel like I've seen this a lot in my Instagram. That I've been taking a little bit more casually this week. And in the past weeks, where I'm showing that my Instagram reel, like my whole like idea of the posts that I consider perfect, but are no means perfect, but the ones that I think are like showcase worthy that go on my Instagram, I feel like I've been taking that a little bit more casually in the fact that like I'm showing that I'm in progress. Like all of my images, I like realize that they are not where I want them to be. I also realize that it's not where other people want them to be, but I'm okay with that. I'm showing my progress, like literally saying, document, like this is where I'm at like last month, and maybe I edited a photo just the 1% better the next month. Well, guess what, over the coming months, if it's a 1 or 5% increase every month, I'm increasing at a great rate. And I think there's so much value in like not archiving your posts that you had in the past that you think were bad. Like I'm realizing this slowly, and I'm not speaking from authority here, but like, yo, keep your stuff that stinks on your page. That tells a story that you went from ew, crappy iPhone photo of a blade of grass.
It was still really good though.
To now I'm, traveling the world taking photos of people. That's not me, but showing where you were and where you are now is a story, and people love to live that with you. Every post then is you showing where you're at now and the potential that you have, and the photos that you've taken in the past, even if it was just yesterday. Hopefully you got 0.5% better, 1% better from the last time you did something. You've learned from your mistakes. You've learned that these things can be better. You've learned how to make them better, and then you enact how to make it better. So my photos, hopefully over the year, will be insanity and maybe 20% better than they were at the beginning of this year. And I count that as a win. It doesn't have to be as good as my photographer love person that I look up to all the time. Like, you're seeing progress, it's good progress.
Now, do you think expectation kills creativity?
Oh yeah, you can't not say that. Like, expectations or comparison does not. You expect, like, think about it. Like, I feel like as a kid you're like, I want to be an astronaut. I don't think you realize what it takes to be an astronaut when you're a kid. Like you have these goals or aspirations or dreams, and you say, okay, this is my path now. This is the path I'm going to take to make this happen. I think you have to realize that your expectations do have to be, I think there's realistic expectations. I think it's, you have to, I think it's like a Dunning-Kruger curve is what they call it, I think, where it's like, when you're starting off here, I'll do this for the screen viewers. I'll do it the correct way. When you start off, you're at a very like gradual slope. I could be completely wrong, but check out the Dunning-Kruger curve. I think that's what it's called. At the beginning, you understand that you don't know it all, and you're like, I'm not gonna be the best when I'm just starting off. And you incrementally, I'm going in the correct order for these live people that are listening or that are viewing. You slowly go up, but then you get to a point where you think you're at the highest point you can be, and you think, oh, I'm a master at this. I've conquered weaving. I'll go back to that. I've figured out all the stitching that I could ever use in my entire life. I figured out all the brush strokes that I can and all the mediums that I'm allowed to use for painting. And you think you've reached this mastery, and then all of a sudden something completely switches, and you see that, like, whoa, I am only 2% of the way to being a master at this. And you go from just little, like, 90 or like 45-degree curve that takes you up to like a 90-degree curve, and then you just crash. You plummet back down to like maybe 10% better than the beginner, and that's truly where you are.
Yeah.
Because your expectations of yourself and where you can be have actually inflated. Then you learn that you don't know it all, and you crash back down and you feel bad. And then you get back set on like a realistic expectation curve where you go up a little bit exponentially, but also just at your own pace. And you're like, I'm humbled now. I'm humbled myself. I've been humbled by something that's happened or someone that's told me something, and now I can realistically track where I'm going back to be an astronaut.
Yeah. So almost instead of expectation kills creativity, it's expectation kills reality.
Yeah. I would say that, you have these false expectations of you becoming a TikTok star in the next year. That's totally possible. Oh, get it. That's what we got for you.
Boom, TikTok right there.
If you think that it is possible, and by no means are we trying to kill your drive for that. Yeah. But a lot of the times it takes consistency. We've talked about that all the time. I think that plays a key role.
Authenticity, consistency.
A lot of C words.
Yeah. Or E's.
End of C words.
Yeah. C's.
Sure. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
No. Sorry.
Add that to the reel.
And I think within those expectations and realities that we face, I think in all honesty, I think when we go up those curves and we plummet and we go up the curves, that's learning. I mean, you need to face discipline. You need to face those, I'm going to say failures. By no means, I think, trying to think of a better word. But I think it's almost like a potter. Like, as they're trying to shape and form the bowl or jar or plate, there's gonna be times where they're like, oh, I like it messes up, then they just reuse the same clay. It's kind of like creating, like when you're creating, you're going on this journey, you're reusing the things that you've learned to make it into something new. By no means are you throwing it out, and sometimes you're gonna have to, and that's okay, but you always have that clay to continue to shape and form. But within that, though, there's a rhythm that you find, because I think as you're creating and you're continuously creating and you're working through it, you're going to find out your rhythm, you're going to find out how often you post, you're going to find out how often you're going to do this, your numbers, the pricing for certain things, and then in that you find your rhythm. Okay, this is how I'm going to do it on this day, this is how I'm going to do it on this day. But they're different for everyone. Everybody's rhythms are different. They might have some similarities. Like Austin and I might get up at like 6 a.m. every day, same time, but what we do after that and what we do during that time is different. Like, he may go to the bathroom at 6, but I may be still in bed. Like, it's a different rhythm that we end up going into. It's almost like creativity. Like, you might be, like, Austin's a photographer, Eden's a photographer. I mean, those are people that are doing the same medium but doing it in completely different ways. It's the same with rhythms. Like, we're going through a rhythm, and that's where we truly find, I think, like, our creativity and our things like that. But it goes back to that first question. You need to find out, like, your rhythms need to also be temporarily broken sometimes. I mean, that's why in music there's stops, because you get to in your feels and you're like, whoa, and then they bring you back and you're like, all right, let's vibe with this even more. It's like creating. Like, you get a rhythm, it might be like a 4/4, and then boom, stops, then you switch to a 3/4 and you're like, yo, this is so much better. It's the same with creating. Like, yeah, like, it's so much better. So what do you think about rhythms?
Yeah, I think rhythms they can be important. I think we go back to, like, the rigidity of how you plan things. If you have no rhythm, that's okay. I feel like as you get older, you have to find rhythms anyway.
Straight up.
Because there's certain time slots that you hit certain things, and maybe you're only able to access your studio or your basement after work. Like, you're not gonna do that any other time. So finding the times that work best for you, like, are very key. And it's, like we said, it's not the same for everyone. It'll never be the same for everyone, or else it'd be a boring world.
There would be no diversity, and that's boring is that's a pretty good transition right there.
I think so. Oh man. Yeah. So I think too, just working on like these little things that make you like a better, well-rounded person, like is so key to understanding like who you are. We also had people this week take Adobe Creativity creative style test, and we've gotten so many cool people that like have come back and said, oh, I'm this person, I'm the adventurer, I'm the dreamer, I'm the visionary, I'm the artist, I'm the maker. And it's been so cool. It's like I said this earlier in our meeting, I'm like, we're just psychologically profiling everyone that sends these to us. And so no, we're not actually, but it's
we
like
actually
so
are
cool
though,
that we can like see like a realistic test showing kind of like who you are. It's like the big five kind of thing, but for creativity, and it does make a difference. Like I don't know, it was just so cool to see the diversity of everyone that we hung out with today.
Straight up, man. And I think ultimately with any of these tests, I think there's definitely a lot of specifics that hit you. By no means does it define you, because it's a test that has been generated by others that have created it. So it doesn't define you, but I think it allows you to find clarity and maybe some things that you may naturally have inclinations for. Like I know I was the artist, and so the artist description as we were reading it, it was just like so deep, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like I feel like
it's like battle your enemies by becoming friends with them or something.
Like for ultimately like my creativity is very much associated with my emotions. So if I am not feeling emotionally like stable, then my creativity may look a lot different than another person's. And like I think one of the words was like speaking and creating things out of the like existence, like putting like the in between of creativity and like melding it together and putting it out. And I was just like, whoa. And then also, if you're wondering, it also shows you who you may work well with. Because I think a lot of times we have different vibes and different things that we end up working well and doing with. And so having maybe just an inclination of who may that be, I think that's good. I think for me, it was like producer, because I need somebody to actually like channel those thoughts and then help me to make it happen, because I'm just like, ooh, boom, boom, let's actually do this. This is a really cool idea. I think this would be awesome. This is legit. And constantly creating those ideas, but needing that funnel to actually do it. Because I think that's just with anything. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had some laughs talking about the different things, and like everyone's like, this is what mine says, and I'm like, mine says I'm waging war in my mind. And I'm like, bro, is this a psychology test? Like I'm getting like destroyed. And I was like, no, like I'm an adventurer, and I'm like sitting here looking at this, and like, no lie,
doomed for life.
I know, literally. And then the guy, all of them have avatars, and they're kind of sick. You know what mine is? As I'm reading this, it's a guy just made out of balls, and he's just there, like looking around, laughing, and I'm reading it about waging war in my mind, like
complete like disparity of the two.
It's like, oh, this is great, and I'm just like there, like, oh.
Oh man, Gavin, like what is creativity and boredom to you? So where do they like intersect? Do they intersect? It's kind of like an open-ended thing, but like, do they cross paths?
Yeah.
Is that something that's good? Is it neutral? Is it bad? I'm wondering, because like, do we ever get to a point where we're ever bored?
Yes.
I feel like it's very hard now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And because of not reaching that boredom state, I have an opinion, and I'll get to it. I'm kind of hinting at it right now. But like, do we ever get bored anymore?
Yeah.
Is that a thing that truly happens? And does that happen to creatives more, less?
Yeah. I think ultimately boredom is an excuse to do something. An excuse, I mean that both positive and negative. Because I think we experience boredom, and in the culture that we live in, and it might not be you, and it might not be us, but just taking it as a generalized analysis of what culture has become, especially with TikTok, Instagram, is short seconds of satisfaction. So if we are constantly fed that, our brains generally will naturally become wired to those things. So boredom, we experience boredom. If we're experiencing boredom, like, you probably pull up Instagram and flip through and look through. That's fine. I'm not condemning that in any way, but it's like creating. I think when we experience boredom, our first inclination is to fill it and to do something. And it might be, some of us may be a little bit wired differently and are able to fight that and then use it and channel it. But I think in a culture, as a general scope, when we experience boredom, we think we're not content. We think we're not good. What we're doing presently isn't good enough.
And I scared. We're like, oh shoot, I'm bored. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like what do I do?
You can't sit still. And I think it results in just like this panic. And that's when you can really sense the maturity level as a creative, or just as a person in general. If you're able to channel that and use it to be like, okay, how can I, as a creative, or as a person, use this boredom to something new? Do I need to sit in it? Do I need to remain in this? Which I would say boredom is really just a different word to say content and discontent. Because I think if we are not content, then we become bored with ourselves. And then through that, we experience anxieties and then eventually depression, because we don't feel like we're filling a void. We don't feel like we're having an impact.
I think it's important to say that a lot of people tie boredom to their impact.
Yeah.
Am I not producing something for someone right now?
Yeah.
Am I not taking care of someone right now? Am I not taking care of me right now?
Yeah.
There's an inherent, like, if I have nothing to do, I'm not outputting.
Yeah.
And what does that mean for the people that surround me and for myself?
Exactly. I mean, it's ultimately learning to be content in all situations, regardless of what you're experiencing. Because I think if you can find that's ultimately true peace, is being able to be content in all circumstances. Because I think once we experience boredom, if we take the positive outlooks, a lot of times people will use that to change career paths and end up succeeding more than they have been, or maybe change up a style or trying to create for themselves rather than for the population or for as a business. But then there's others that I think don't feel like they have enough to put out there, and then they experience that boredom and they go down. And I think ultimately my thoughts are, we've been so submersed in this oversaturated culture of Instagram and advertisements and YouTube and movies that generally, for the most part, are telling you that if you're not doing this, you're not loving this way, if you're not orchestrating this way, if you're not making this much money, not having this and that, then you're not doing enough, which ultimately completely destroys your mind. Because you think then, as you watch it and think it more, and you might be super resilient, it's going to wear you down. Because if you're so submersed and oversaturated in it. And because of that, when you're on social media, if you're not getting that interaction and that like and that thing that the fake world has promised, then you become less and less content with yourself, and then it goes further. So I think 100% boredom and creativity line up. It's really ultimately where that perspective is. Do you think of it, okay, as a creative and I experience boredom, am I going to use this and channel it? Or am I going to say, okay, maybe this season is actually good. Maybe I actually need to take this breath. Maybe I actually need this, because I think ultimately in our different seasons of life, we need to truly like visualize and analyze, okay, like what we've done for the past 2 months and now it's starting to get back into it. Like, we needed to take a break. And to be honest, at moments it was super boring. I mean, we were just like, I want to do something, but that fuels the fire then later. But we didn't like, okay, let's fill it, let's do it, because we knew ultimately that would destroy us. And I think that's, you got to be content with that. Now, if you're in it for a long period of time and you don't know where to go, I mean, sometimes that's just a step, and I think we've talked about that before, of where and how to channel some of those things. But ultimately, come on, I'm just like, boredom, it sucks. It's a pain in the rear, but like, you learning to be content or learning how to channel it is the ultimate goal. Because if we stay in it too long, then it becomes us. And we don't want to become boring, because nobody's boring. He's not boring. Like, Helen's not boring. Like, nobody on this earth is boring, because everybody is unique in their own way and created in beautiful ways and have a different avenue and different way of creating. There's no boredom in you. Like, you're not a boring person. You have value. You're worthy. But in the moments where we experience this boredom, that's where we need to remind ourselves, like, no, like, there's importance there. Just because I go on comparison on Instagram doesn't mean, like, they may be going through the same things, but they just push through it in a different way, or they're just like, this is the only way I can cope. We don't really know the full story on Instagram. So it's just learning, okay, how can I, like, push myself out that, surrounding yourself with people. It kind of just goes full circle. And I know I've been kind of going preachy mode and I'm on my soapbox, but it's I think it's the biggest dilemma of a creative today is experiencing discontentment and then comparing, because those are the biggest killers besides expectations. Because if we continue to believe those things, then if I'm being honest, you're going to destroy yourself. And we don't want to see that.
No.
Nobody wants to see you do that to yourself. And you can, by no means can you not, like, if you're in that and you're experiencing that, you can come out of it. There's no deep, no ditch, no hole that's dark enough or deep enough that you can't come out of. And so I think that's with anything, and especially creativity. I think we associate it with expectations and output, but ultimately, just become content.
Yeah. I think the main thing I took from what you're saying is that boredom is an opportunity.
Yeah.
And an opportunity is a very broad word. Yeah. And I think that's on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, boredom is an opportunity to be okay.
Yeah.
It is also an opportunity to, like, just jump into the unknown.
Heck yeah, bro.
If you take the optimistic approach to this, like, boredom is an opportunity to forge a new path that you haven't done before. I think you, on, like, the, like, stimulation spectrum, if you're, like, super stimulated all the time, you got so much going on that you don't have time to rest, and often boredom comes from hopefully reeling back a little bit. I think if you're overstimulated, you're getting less and less done, actually. Yeah. And once you hit that, like, little tick of boredom, you cross a line that's like, hey, you know what? You're allowed to rest. Do you know that?
Yeah,
like,
you're allowed.
I'm speaking to you right now. Do you know you're allowed to rest? Like, it's okay to, like, sit down and breathe, and it's almost it is important to breathe and sit down. Like, I'm speaking right at you right now, and if you're hearing this, there's a reason that you're hearing this.
He's gazing, bro.
In that, like, if you're bored, it's okay. You're allowed to rest. No one's saying that if you hit that bottom, you need to bounce right back.
Yeah.
If you're bouncing back and forth, you might be doing too much still. If you're able to sit in boredom and say, hey, I'm bored and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. And I want you to know that, like, you're allowed to hit boredom and you're allowed to stay there for a little.
Yeah.
And then whenever you're ready, or whenever the times call you to be ready, it's time for you to move. And then you can move. Boredom is an opportunity. That's all I've got to say.
Pop off, man. Pop off.
Dude. And with that, I just want to end today of, like, yo, like, we hope to see you at these events. Like, if you're bored right now, maybe this is the time that the rebound is happening.
Yeah.
That you're coming out of that and you're coming to meet new people and you're stepping outside your comfort zone. If you're bored while listening to this, like, if you're sitting on the floor in your house and you're just like, man, I have nothing to do today and I have nothing to do on March 11th or March 25th, you know what? This is the time where I'm not stimulated by all these other things. I'm not stimulated by anything. Right now, I'm going to start a new path that's different than the one that I was just on, because it's healthy to do that.
Yeah.
And that healthy step is, yo, I'm going to come meet new people. I hate meeting new people. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm the biggest introvert that you will ever know, probably. But when I do come out to these events, I'm energized by the passion, the energy that is, like, around and is just, like, teeming with all these different people connecting, and my heart grows ever so bigger by all these people just like getting to know each other, even if it's just a handshake and then you move on. Like, it is huge that you're meeting new people and, you know, meeting people in your area of expertise, because that's not easy to do in a place like York or in a place like Lancaster.
Absolutely.
You have to know the right people, you have to be in the right crowd, and we're trying to establish that that's not necessary. You don't need to have 15,000 followers to meet another 15,000 follower person. You can, like, you're worth, like you said at the beginning, like, there is amazing artists that have 100 followers. No one would have known. And we value you just the same as we value the highest priority people in our community. Exactly. And there are no high quality or high, like, priority people. You're all the same priority to us.
We're all high priority because we're people, we're humans. But if you've taken anything from this podcast, we encourage you to reach out to us. I mean, we're always open to talk and to encourage you as much as we can. Be on the lookout for posts and about events and just encouraging moments. You probably will get some of those cool snippets of the reels. If you're wondering where we are, again, this is Eileen Vintage, or Eileen. I always say it incorrect, but she's amazing. Molly is amazing. I'm so thankful that we're able to use this space. Reminder, the music you hear in the beginning and the end is from Josh Van. He's the owner of Emporium Music. If you're ever looking for some cool, sick beats, hit him up. We love you. We think you're amazing. We hope to see you soon. And what do you gotta say, Austin? What do you gotta say?
Gavin, I need to see your best TikTok dance right now.
Oh gosh. Yep. I don't know any TikTok dances.
I'm sorry. This is why I'm asking you.
Okay.
I'll move so you can do it.
I don't know what to do. This is awkward.
This is why I did it.
Yeah. Right?
This is exactly why I did it. All right, watch this.
Okay.
Oh, he cracks his knuckles. Okay. Hit it.
Bro, you hear my back?
Yeah. All right, hit it.
I think it's like the...
Okay. So take... Yeah.
That's all I know.
All right, cool. Peace out, guys.
I hate you.